Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's TTL, or as we like to call it, the Tesla Life. Show number 123, I believe it is. And we're sitting at, what, the 13th of November, 2019. And with me tonight, Mr. Casey Green joins us from the cold rain state of Washington, D.C. area. How are you tonight, Casey?
I'm just staying out of the flurries.
Staying out of the flurries, yes, indeed. Casey told me a story before we started about how he discovered it was snowing.
Yes.
How did you describe it, Casey?
So I came out of the office and the sky looked clear, and then all of a sudden I felt what felt like a large, really cold raindrop hit my ear, and it was a snowflake. And then there were more. And
Oh, yes, indeed. The cold water turns out to be snow.
yes.
It's that time of year. We've been getting snow for, man, the last 3 days. We're getting a lot more than regular in mid to early November. So it's the northeast of the U.S. and obviously down to the D.C. area. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
See what it'd be.
We
It was
wait-
actually colder in Charleston this morning than it was here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I got a quick
What's
programming note for the viewers.
Let's
So
go.
Mark and I recorded a pair of videos as a what do you call it, a collaboration. And so Mark shows you how to work the I'm hungry and I'm feeling lucky buttons, and what kind of experience you get in not really quite rural, but like suburban Canada. And then I went through and let that same feature take me on an adventure. Me and my wife, we spent all day and watched them both and see what kind of adventures you can get with the Tesla acting as a tour guide.
Exactly. So you got your own personal tour guide in your car. All you have to do is press those buttons on the navigate bar and you're on your way.
That's for sure.
So join us on the YouTube channel. Casey Green, The Tesla Life, both have a recent video up. So
Yeah.
check it out and see how it works. Tonight, we have got a ton of news and, of course, the big story, the absolutely biggest story of the evening, which we'll get to later, is, of course, Gigafactory 4 has been indicated where it will be located. And that'll be coming up in the show. So stay with us. I'm sure a lot of you already know, but it is great news that just came out just yesterday. So
Yeah.
it's just breaking, really. So
Yeah.
great to see just before our show starts. It's always best. If it breaks tomorrow, then of course we're a week late. But we're ahead of the game when it breaks the day before the show. So fantastic. Our
Yes.
first story of the evening comes, of course, from Elon tweeting. He was prompted about the recent model Plaid that was out on the racetrack in Germany, and someone asked, "Hey, Elon, is the Plaid version of the S and the X going to get a larger battery, or is it going with the stock size of batteries that are available now?" And Elon came back, of course, with a quick, "Yes, it will be larger." So they are going to move to a larger kilowatt version of the battery for both the S and X Plaid versions. And we will have to see how big they will go. And just as a fun note, Casey, what would be your guess that the Plaid version would go up? What amount above 100 do you think it will end up being for the Plaid version S, for example?
Well, we went from 85 to 90, and then from 90 to 100. So I would say probably 110 to 120 to be conservative, and up to maybe 125. I wouldn't suspect more than 150 unless they're going to do the double stack battery like from the Roadster. If they
Right.
do that, then I suspect it'll be somewhere around 200 kilowatt hours.
Wow.
Yeah, but
I believe that we'll be sitting about 125. I think they're going to add
that's
about
reasonable.
25% to the 100. 125, I believe, will be the answer that they're going to go for. So we're on record. I'm at 125, and you're at what number if you had to pick one?
Well, I went with the range, the 120, the 110 to 125. And if they don't double stack, I'm going with the same 200 kilowatt hours as the Roadster.
Okay, so we're on record. We'll see. Just as fun as to what it ends up being, but interesting little note that was put out through Twitter there the other day.
I think I should name my new band Elon Tweeting.
Absolutely. And where are you playing next? Where's the band playing next?
I gotta learn how to play the guitar. I've got one string down.
So people, you got time to get your tickets. Casey's just warming up. Just warming up. Speaking of warming up, another police office has warmed up to the Model 3. Tell us about that, Casey.
Sure will. And if you don't want the police to warm up to you, you should hit that like button and subscribe right now. So the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office says near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, has also decided they're going to get a couple Model 3s. They announced today, not today, about a week ago on Twitter. Or is that Facebook? That's Twitter. No, that's Facebook. Either way, they announced on social media that they are getting Model 3s, and it's good to see that these police stations are recognizing that they spend so much time idling and they don't actually drive that far, and so they're going to go with Model 3 performances, unlike the last police department, which went with the Standard Range Plus, because they like the 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, the 322 miles of range. They're replacing 65 Ford police interceptors, so that is going to be amazing. And they think that they're going to save about $17,000 over 5 years for gas and maintenance per car. And I think that they'll be pleasantly surprised, and they might even save more than that.
Per car. That's incredible. That really is. I remember we talked about the last police department saying about $16,000 a car as well. Yeah. So it seems to be about the going rate.
For sure.
But another interesting note is that they contacted Tesla based on the story about the Indianapolis police, or the police that were just south of Indianapolis, Indiana. And Tesla arranged somehow to get them a couple cars to allow them test it out. So they reached out to Tesla, and Tesla responded with, here's a couple cars, try them out. Yeah, and the other thing that this sheriff's office had interest in apparently was they looked at the specs of the Model Y, and they thought, hey, this might be another option for us as well. A little bit larger, a little bit more room, and it might be useful. So they're also eyeing the Model Y as a replacement for some of the patrol cars too.
For sure. And so it's just like us. You know, your neighbor pulls up with a Tesla, you get a little word of mouth, you see it out there in the driveway, and then you get the butts in the seat. You know, Tesla sends a couple cars over, and by the time you're sitting in the car, it's done. You're just finding a way to make the numbers work.
You're just finding a way to finance it at that point.
Exactly.
That's all it takes. Exactly.
And of course, they had to one up their neighbors, and they went with the performance. They didn't even go with the dual motor. They said, let's go all the way.
Yeah, let's go for broke.
Well, not broke. They're saving money off of the police interceptors.
Yes, indeed. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll be watching for other police departments as the word continues to spread.
I'll be excited. The only problem with that is that now I have to add one more set of headlights to my. Hey, those are police behind me, and the only good thing about that is I already recognize all the Teslas right now anyway.
So there you go.
Old Model S. Hey, this is a new Model 3. Well, why doesn't that Model 3 have its fog lights on?
Oh, it's a cruiser. The other lights are on. Not a good thing. Not a good thing.
Yeah.
Next, I've got a photo I'm going to share with everybody. That's kind of interesting. Here we go. Boom.
Where's my badge?
This, of course, is a Model 3 badge that none of us on our Model 3s actually have. This is a new badge that was debuted at the Shanghai Gigafactory when they had a few of the test cars that they've been making out on display. And they had this badge on the car. And I just thought it was interesting. We sent a note to our Twitter followers and said, hey, if you had the option of having the Model 3 as a badge on your car as opposed to on the license plate where it came with everyone's car in North America, would you want it? And we had a number of people that responded both ways. but the consensus seemed to be I'd rather keep it where it's on the plate, as opposed to actually having a badge on the corner of the car in the I guess the right hand side of the back. But of course, you can tell this is
because on the Model S and Model X, it's on the left hand side.
So there is a difference there.
Mm-hmm.
And on the left hand side of this car,
it says Model 3 in Chinese.
Yeah. So we've got on the left side there are 3 characters that represent the they call it the sound transition or translation of Tesla. Sorry. The sound translation of Tesla are the first 3 characters. Okay. So interesting. I did, and it's not completely in focus. This particular photo, the best I could get off of the video, but it's interesting. So that's on the left, and Model 3's on the right.
It matches the center word on the bottom of the screen here.
Yep. So interesting. I
voted no in the poll. Just because you get used to seeing it, just the Tesla T up in the high center.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and you can see the Tesla T is here as well on the trunk, and then of course you've got the elongated license plate frame. License plates are a different format in China, so more like a European license plate where it's elongated compared to ours. But interesting stuff. It'll be again a little bit of change here and there over what we're used to. Yes. And we will see if more changes come into effect as time goes along. This kind of go ahead.
How many people do you think are going to remove the Tesla T logo and replace it with the word mark like we have here? Would it be the 3 Chinese characters you mean? Would it be the 3 Chinese characters and how many people are going to do it? Is it going to say Tesla in English, or is it going to say the 3 Chinese characters? Just
what? I bet you people in China, if they make that change, I bet you they go for the English word.
Yeah,
I bet because it's it's just seen as a brand, a logo, right. Yeah. Compared to the Chinese characters. But hey, I'm sure we're going to see both. Someone's going to do both.
Somebody's going to do it. I mean, just order it from these states. They make them there anyway.
Now, what also dovetails into this story is that there was, along with this video, there was a Chinese reviewer that got one of these cars, and he was at the factory, and he made the assertion that the Chinese model made in Shanghai is better quality than the US version. And he mentioned a couple things. He mentioned about insulation and soundproofing that are better. And then he indicated that there was no defect in the Chinese version like there is in the American version. But he didn't name what the defect was. Mm. He didn't say what it was. He just alluded to it as a defect. So I'm not sure what he meant. He has a Twitter name. So we sent him a note immediately saying, well, if you're going to say there's a defect, you have to tell us what it is. You know, it turns out that he does own a US version car. So it was shipped from Fremont. He owned that particular car. So apparently he is speaking from experience, we're guessing.
Yeah, his was one of the ones that we saw in the line around the block. One of the 2 sets of lines.
Maybe. But we really don't know what the defect. Of course, he has not responded to us on Twitter. Not surprised, but if you are following us on Twitter at the Tesla Life, you can see the tweet that went out to him. And you know what? You could add your tweet to it as well. Ask him the same question. Maybe he has to be asked a few times.
Be nice though.
Be respectful. But it would be interesting to hear what his answer is, if there is a defect, or if maybe that's a possible error in translation. That could be it too. We really don't know. We were just being curious. We wanted to ask if he would tell us what he felt that that particular defect was. But of course, I do agree with him in a couple ways. Is that as the Model 3 was rolling out here in North America, we certainly had a lot of rushed issues. We had a number of things that had maybe failed on the production line, either through automation or oversight, or they weren't quite sure how they were, pushing these cars out at volume and were able to do things. So I gotta believe that Tesla got better at the entire operation as time went along. And if
Sure.
that knowledge has been spread to the other Gigafactory, then in effect, just from that, those other cars are getting the benefit of those processes and operations that have been tested and proven on the first line. So I would definitely agree. There may be some insulation things. There may be some sounding insulation that has been changed. We heard about the infamous fluffer bot that was putting down a piece of fluff, and that was for sound deadening, and that was no longer applied to a number of the cars. And I do know, as many people that own a Model 3 know, that when you're supercharging a car and you will hear a plink noise as the metal makes a sudden move because of either heat or cold and the speed of the car being supercharged. So that type of thing, maybe that's what Flufferbot was best at, putting that piece of insulation in. So maybe the plink noise wasn't as pronounced. I don't know.
So,
But we'll have to see if any more comes of this story.
so do you think that some of it might have just been the usual changes in the line? They make 50-something changes a week, and he did call out the paint. He said his paint was better. I don't know if that's just because everybody says that California has thinner paint. Derek, the YouTube channel with Eric and David, they went out and measured a bunch of cars and actually found out that Tesla has thicker paint than some of the luxury brands, but thinner than others. And
it could certainly be that the China rules on paint is different, and
yeah,
they're probably not bringing the California standard to China. They're using what is within the law in
yeah,
China,
yeah,
and that's where a lot of us are wondering, will the Model 3 be will the crash standards be as good as North America? Will it have the ability, the tolerances are the same? Are they going to be different? There are many things that we don't know how that Model 3 in China will be different, if at all, from the Model 3 in Fremont. So,
I also think there might be an element of national pride in there.
yeah,
Yeah, we
could
do it
be.
better. We're better manufacturers.
Could be. And that's within, that could be within the eye of the beholder. It also could be, with advancements made, it could be better. I guess we really don't know until we would be to receive a Chinese made car and see the actual differences ourselves. I don't know if that will happen, but certainly this gentleman had the ability to purchase a U.S. car, so he's got both to play with. So until that happens the opposite way, I don't know if we'll ever know. But it was an interesting story to see.
Yeah, I don't think that they will compromise on safety. They may change other stuff for standards, but I don't think that they will let that happen to their brand.
I would hope they wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm just again, we're really in the dark here. We don't know. Like, I don't believe the company has made a particular statement
Yeah,
about standards.
right. But it's kind of like how they won't let us buy certain parts; they're restricted, and how before Rich Rebuilds had his shop with the two certified techs, they wouldn't let him get certain components as well, because if it's done wrong and whoosh, Tesla fire, it's all in the news. Like that one that was probably some kind of arson or ran over something in the parking garage, and they edited the tape so it went faster than it really did. That made worldwide news. So I don't see them compromising on safety as much as they might, like paint or adding insulation, removing insulation. I do see them maybe doing some stuff to make that car cheaper than elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see as time goes along as to if we get some more snippets or if we get an answer. And if we get an answer, we'll certainly let you know.
That'd be fun.
But if this is the first time you've ever watched our program, please give us a thumbs up at this point. Even if you've watched this before, a couple thumbs up would be great. And if you haven't subscribed already, please press that subscribe button. Give us another number. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps us out, gets us in front of new eyeballs. So please do so.
Indeed.
Next story, off to space, and Casey's going to tell us a little bit about a successful SpaceX launch.
Yes. So SpaceX had their second Starlink launch. What was that, yesterday? No, it was Monday.
Yeah.
Which was not yesterday.
Not yesterday.
We had Canada and the U.S. had Remembrance Day and Veterans Day, and that just throws my schedule off. So they had a successful on-time launch of 60 Starlink satellites. They were concerned about one. They were thinking that it might not succeed, but these are the first fully demisable, which means that they will burn up Starlink satellites when they come back to into the atmosphere. And this was also, as far as I could tell, I do not recall ever seeing a drone ship landing where it didn't look like a magic trick, where video cuts out, boom, there's a rocket right there. The feed actually cut out before the rocket got down, and then the whole way that it was in frame as it came down with the drone ship, you see it come down, the legs pop out, the flames go, and they cut the flame. That was amazing.
That was the best video feed from the drone we have ever seen.
Right, yeah, we have seen them land before, but only on land. On the drone ship, it's always been, like I said, the magic trick, or where we see it crash.
which are exciting as well. Yes.
They are exciting. Oh man, those were the days. But this was the fourth trip for this particular booster,
which of course is a record, right?
It was a record, yeah, and it was a first. In fact, not only was it a first for SpaceX, they kept saying this is a first for SpaceX. This is a first for anybody. Nobody's ever brought back without major refurbishing. The space shuttle is a different. None of the space shuttle boosters ever made it up to space like that and came back. They kind of splashed down in the ocean and got rebuilt. They're solid rockets, all that stuff. And it's also the first reused fairing to ever come back, which was really cool.
Yeah, so this fairing was caught on one of the boats and was reused but it was only half fairing, right? It wasn't a full fairing.
It was two halves.
Oh, it was two halves. Okay.
I think it was the first launch where they had both boats out there, and so this is the first reused fairing.
Now, question, I don't remember this, but on that launch that was on Monday, the fairings broke off.
Right.
Were those fairings tried to be captured again a second time?
The capture boats were out, but I haven't heard any.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah.
So that means they obviously missed it, because if they had caught it, and that would have been like another first, right?
Yes.
3 firsts in one flight.
Yes.
But that obviously either they weren't going to catch them for whatever reason, or they didn't catch them, or because we would have heard if they had caught it for sure.
But they did send the boats out. And it's like Elon said, it's like if you had these fairings are huge and they're expensive. He said if you had a pallet with $15 million on it and it was just falling from the sky, would you try to catch some of it? Yeah, you would.
You and I'd be out there trying to catch it all day long. That would be your full-time job. $15 million dropping from the sky, man. Yes. I'd be buying boats too.
Right. And in other SpaceX news, just a few moments before the podcast came on just now, we heard news that the news came out a few minutes ago, but a couple hours ago, they successfully tested the static fire on the Super Draco engines on the next SpaceX Dragon version 2 capsule that's going to be doing the abort test. So what's going to happen is this one's going to go on another booster that's flown multiple times. And once it reaches the maximum aerodynamic pressure, it's called max Q, they're going to eject. And this is going to destroy the rocket, because all of a sudden, at the worst possible time for aerodynamics, it will have no windbreak, basically. And what we hope to see is that the capsule will be able to meet all the criteria for launch escape and then land safely with all 4 parachutes, and prove that it will be safe for astronauts. That way we can start having some North American launch vehicles take our astronauts to space instead of having to
launch capability for astronauts from an American capsule, which they haven't had now for man, a decade or like 8 years, something like
Yeah.
that. So
Think they'll put a Canadarm on the Starship?
I don't know. I don't know if they will do that. They've had them on both the shuttle and, of course, the space station. There's been a Canadarm on each, so we've got them available. So if you want one, just let us know. We'll get you one. We seem to be good at robotic arms up here in Canada, so we'll have to see if one gets put on. Certainly. They're great for building space stations. So yeah, why not? Why not?
Oh, and just a reminder for anybody who isn't familiar, the Starlink satellites that they launched up. They launched 60 of them. They kind of fan out over the next couple of weeks. They will be raising into their final orbit. What Starlink is a satellite constellation that will give us gigabit, low latency broadband here on planet Earth. Pretty much anywhere you've got a clear view of the sky, and space for an antenna that's about this big.
Yeah, yeah. So, and the other thing is that they will be apparently starting to market the service in North America, US and Canada. They're going to start marketing that service. So it'll be interesting to see when they start, what the price will be, and what they're advertising as the abilities of the system. Definitely. So we shall see. So now they've got like roughly 120 of them in orbit. 60 previously, 60 yesterday or Monday.
I think they lost 3 through failures and intentional deorbiting. The first set were all beta, so that's fine. They were version 0.09, and these were the first 1.0 satellites that they launched up. And in addition to being fully demisable, they also made it so that the astronomers would have less reason to complain about them because they're not shiny bottomed anymore. And,
okay.
I saw a figure somebody put out there. They said that now that this launch is completed, SpaceX owns 6% of all active satellites in space right now.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
And they're going for more. They're going to be
when you launch 60 at a time, I guess it isn't going to take long to overtake the incumbents. The other thing I thought was kind of cool during the launch is that they described that when they release this spring to release the 60 satellites all at once and then they fan out by themselves, they're designed to hit each other. Yeah. It's okay if they bump and rub each other as they're going out. Unlike traditional satellites where everything had to be in a clean room. You couldn't touch the satellite. There were so many things that were, the satellite had to be put in with shock absorbers and all this stuff to make sure that this component would never fail. Well, we've got them bouncing off of each other and it's okay. So
dispenser.
Yeah, exactly. Just firing them off into space. So
and they did say this was the heaviest payload to date for Falcon 9.
That's right. Another first.
For non-Falcon heavy
launch. 9.
Yeah.
Well, next story. Tesla is now closing in on 2 billion miles of autopilot use.
Billion miles.
Billion miles. Unbelievable. We were at only 1 billion just, it seems, a little while ago. And now, of course, as the rollout of the Model 3 happens and more cars come into circulation, 2, 3, 4, 5 billion will fall quicker to us because, of course, the volume of cars out there and people using them on new mileage routes for daily commutes and whatever just keeps increasing. So it is taking, again, it's hopefully that's all combining into a better system, the ability to pull up issues before they become issues, being able to record what's going on at all times and report any instances of issues to Tesla Command so they can review it and put changes and tweaks into place to make things safer. So congratulations on they're probably at 2 billion already because this happened earlier in the week. But 2 billion miles on autopilot.
That's pretty cool. And it just keeps getting better and better.
Exactly. So at the beginning of the show, we talked about big news. Number one story today, of course, or this week, is Elon announced that with just a tweet as normal, that Giga 4 will be in Berlin, Germany. Mm-hmm. So Berlin has won the particular location for Gigafactory 4. Apparently, it's going to be in a Berlin suburb near the new airport.
Yep.
And Elon joked with somebody about, I guess the new airport that Berlin has been taking a while to be constructed. And the joke was, of course, yes, we will do it on time, as opposed to what's happening at the Berlin airport. But this new announcement just came out, and it was interesting that I guess on Monday, after he saw the launch of the Falcon 9, he hopped on a plane and flew to Berlin. Mm-hmm. And he was in the audience for a program that gives out awards called the Golden Steering Wheel Awards Show. And what they were doing is Model 3 was up for mid-size car of the year for 2019 against a BMW and an Audi. And it actually won. And we do have a link to the video, so you can watch it yourself after this program. But what was kind of interesting was that Elon was in the audience and actually got up on stage and received the award. Mm-hmm. And during his acceptance of the award, he made the announcement on this television show that Berlin had won Gigafactory 4, and that they had been selected. And if you watch the video, the show host is like quite surprised, shocked that he made this announcement while accepting his Golden Steering Wheel Award. Right. And then also it dovetailed into they brought up the CEO of VW out of the audience as well, and brought him up on stage, and they had a opportunity to ask them some questions together, and talked about electrification, talked about how Germany is a bit behind in electrification and what Elon thought they could do to improve things. They talked to the new CEO of VW in the same light, and Elon and the VW CEO actually conversed back and forth, and it was kind of interesting conversation. And you can watch it with our link that we'll certainly share here. But it was kind of cool, wasn't it, Casey?
It was very cool, and that starts at about 41 minutes on your timeline there. And yeah. It was unique, and it looked like both CEOs were taken off guard by the way that they had arranged everything.
Well, I don't know if Elon speaks German, but at certain points he was looking a little bit confused. I've seen that look before. For example, when he was in China speaking with the richest man in China, Jack, I forget his last name, but he had that kind of look as well as what I saw. Right? Yeah. So it was kind of similar, that look. So maybe his German is not up to speed, because he was looking a little bit confused at some points. Although the guy from VW looked a little confused at certain points too. So it was interesting to watch the facial expressions that were going on during that live TV broadcast for that award show.
Sure, it looked like he was going to tell somebody that it was obvious where the plant's going to be, but. I don't know if they cut him off or he stopped short of saying it.
Yeah. He did talk about the new airport being close to the airport, but he didn't want to name the actual location or the actual suburb.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm sure that information will come out shortly, but right now, no.
Yeah, I think it's going to be now a competition between Giga 3 and Giga 4 to see who gets theirs up first.
Gets what up first?
The factory.
Yeah, I think Giga 3's probably won that.
Well, so far, yes, but now it's a matter of national pride. The Germans do it better, or the Chinese do it better. We're better at manufacturing, and so
I'm sorry, but I cannot imagine anyone building a factory faster than what the Chinese did.
It would be incredible, and they would have to just kind of ram all the paperwork through in order to stand a chance.
Yeah, I'm sure that kind of information will come to light, but man, I really don't think they're going to be able to beat the Chinese. But it would be interesting to see if they're going to try.
Well, with all the stuff they've got going on there, they've got plants closing left and right, just like we do. So it would be a good sales pitch if they were to pull a China and to assist Tesla with uh, setting another world record in factory construction.
It would be. It would.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll have to keep our eye on that. But my bet's on the Chinese.
Oh,
But
of course. Speaking of factory construction,
yeah, what's our next story?
so Tesla, we spoke last week about Tesla not having their license for mass production of the Model 3, and they have it now. So
No.
so we had speculated that perhaps maybe they didn't have all the right contractors where they needed to be, or greasing palms, or whatever the case may have been. I don't think it
Yep.
was like straight up bribery, but like literally just
Just
make
a
sure
little,
everybody had
just a
their back
little bribe.
scratched. Yeah, and so it looks like they got all their ducks in a row, and they are now able to start full mass production of the Model 3, mass serial
Excellent.
production. Yeah.
So they have received their license, and mass production can now begin whenever they want.
And at the investor day, they said what, 300,000 or 150,000 in year one?
150. Yep.
Okay, so 150 in year one, and then oh, another bit about Giga 4 is they're going to start with Model Y. They're not going to start with Model 3.
Ah, that is interesting news.
Yeah.
Yeah. So starting with the Model Y in Gig 4.
Yeah.
Again, the story that Tesla believes that Model Y will be the #1 seller by far.
Yep, outselling the Model 3, the Model X, and the Model S combined.
Yeah.
It's
So
going to be phenomenal.
that is it going to be that big? Like, is the Y going to be that big?
Well, when you look at the popularity worldwide of the mid-size SUV, this is the best thing for the planet. Because you get to have your cake and eat it too. So you get the nice large car. It may not get a great electric fuel economy, but it's not getting 20 miles to the gallon, 8 miles to the gallon of gasoline.
That's right. That's right. Well, another story that came up just actually today was there was a discussion about the United Kingdom being a bit disappointed that they did not receive Gigafactory 4.
They were in the running.
They were in the running. They were one of the countries, along with, I believe, France and some of the Norwegian countries were also in the running early in the game. We don't know, obviously, what the rankings were, but Elon was prompted about the UK losing out, and he actually indicated in a communique that one of the reasons was of Brexit happening in the UK, that was a strike against them because of the uncertainty that Brexit brings to the marketplace. Since Britain has no actual deal with Europe at this point about their exiting of the European Union, there could be tariffs. There could be different taxes placed on British-made items, including any new factory that is to be set up. And of course, Tesla does not want a brand new factory that they're starting with in Europe to be, basically maybe one arm tied behind its back because of taxation or because of things that have not been settled in the exit of Britain from the European Union. So that is one of the major reasons that the UK was overlooked for Gigafactory 4, and it was awarded elsewhere.
Yep, and this uncertainty with Brexit is the Tesla isn't the only one that doesn't that has changed their plans at the last minute even. The large companies don't like uncertainty, and this is the biggest uncertainty in that region for quite some time. And they don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to have different taxes? Are they even going to be allowed to operate? A lot of companies have the ones that aren't leaving have stockpiled goods, so they have months of production ready to go. Same with the medicine and the food, and then others have gone the other way and they've left the country. They have now moved their headquarters, they've moved their production, or at least started so they would have made on time for the October, was it 13th?
Yep.
And they got a reprieve for, was it next month sometime?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with it. But
yeah, a lot of uncertainty over there,
huge amount of uncertainty.
And with so many times of the start and stop through Parliament, through governments being exited, new ones coming in, presenting plans being shot down, really, anything can go here. Nobody knows what the answer is going to be. No one knows what the end result is going to be. It's really all up in the air. And Tesla, of course, wanted no part of that. Did not want to be connected with something that they have no idea how it's going to end up. So
Right.
not surprising that the UK was kind of stroked off the list basically because of this uncertainty.
So they haven't done anything to assuage these fears or to kind of set up these sweetheart deals. Is that a matter of they can't because they're still part of the bloc, or is that another oversight on their part?
I think it's all part of the process that they haven't been able to follow it all the way through because they haven't cleared the first hurdle.
Yeah, they don't know what they're going to do.
According to the European Union, Britain was supposed to submit a list of terms and conditions asking if the European Union would accept them. And those conditions have not even been submitted because the British people can't agree on what those conditions and terms are.
Yeah.
And actually, which I would find hard to believe that would actually happen, but Britain actually faces a no deal clause that European Union could actually just cut them off and say, you know what? You get no terms, no conditions. You're just out of the union, and it becomes the Wild West as far as deals and trade between European Union and Britain. So there's a lot of stuff that could happen.
Yeah, and Parliament had their prime minister sign some paperwork saying that they wouldn't do a no deal. So basically, I guess if it didn't work out, they would stay. And there's talk of them doing a new vote to see, because apparently a lot of people thought it was a joke, which never vote a joke. It's always real on paper.
This particular prime minister is tying his wagon to one side and could be voted out at near the end of the year, and that will be it. He will be gone, and another one would take place. Who knows? Who knows what this is going to look like, or who will actually get it passed? But it's all over the board.
Yep.
Our final story of the evening is a little bit about some superchargers. We always like to share this stuff. It's very cool. We're going to go to supercharge.info. Take a look at the overall map. This, of course, is crowdsourced supercharger information that's brought in from the Tesla. I guess it's connected to the Tesla Motor Club, and people from all over the world track this stuff and report it. So we can see not only ones that are in operation, ones that are permitted, and ones that are actually under construction, symbolized by the cone that you can see several places. Again, I want to bring your attention to Canada. Look at that northern road. It looks like it's completely under construction, all the way from Calgary to central Ontario. We've got a ton of construction that's going on across the Trans-Canada Highway. But that's not the main purpose for this evening, for taking a look at this map. I wanted to bring ourselves across the Atlantic here. So we'll make our way over to Europe, and we can see Europe, of course, filling out nicely. Northern Europe into the Scandinavian countries, a ton of activity, a ton of locations that are up and running. But we did talk a little bit previously about this one Moscow location that's sitting out here all by itself. Well, just yesterday or last night, a new point showed up on the map, and it's more remote than Moscow is.
Oh.
We'll take a look a little bit more over as we're going west on the map.
We can't get there from Moscow.
And look at that. In the middle of Kazakhstan, a single little dot has shown up. And if you thought the distance was long between Western Europe and Moscow, take a look at this distance. Like, this is incredible. This is a 6-station supercharger that apparently is now in operation. There's an actual video, and that's the other cool thing about supercharge.info. Click on the dot, click on discuss, and you jump right into a discussion about that particular supercharger. So it brings us to the TMC club, and then you can read about that particular supercharger. People attach videos and pictures all there for you to take a look. So very cool app, and very interesting to watch as time goes along and these things are added. And if we zoom out a little bit, you can see there's some other far outposts in the Middle East, the UAE over here. I guess what country is that? I am not sure. Is that?
I can't read it.
It's not. Yeah, it's. Oh, my geography is bad. That's it's not Libya. This is it? I don't know.
What side is Egypt on? Because there's Israel and Egypt right in that area. I don't know which side is onwards.
I know that it kind of looks like
it's not Egypt. It's too far north.
Israel isn't Israel right here, or is Israel a little higher?
They're near the channel there, a little further south.
Oh, let me click on one of the dots.
Oh, there we go.
Jordan. That's where it is.
Yeah.
The country of Jordan.
Yeah.
Is where we've got a few dots all through there. Yep, all Jordan.
We've got 4
supercharged locations. Yeah, so that's cool. And just another interesting thing, there is a chart button. You can go in and look at charts. And I like looking at this chart. Look at this. These are superchargers outside of the U.S. and China, which obviously have the most. U.S. number 1, China number 2. And then this is the rest of them. And you can see my country, Canada. Look at the construction that's going on here. That's going to push us to number 3 as soon as they finish up those superchargers.
Yeah.
But that's kind of cool. And, of course, the blue indicates permits. So Canada, 33 locations under construction, 7 under permit.
So that new lonely supercharger reminds me of Mexico City when it was first done. Yep. It was just a lonely, like, hey, how are you going to get to the middle of Mexico?
Itself. Yeah, that's right.
Now that country is covered.
Absolutely, and that's is this the actual building of I don't know, the Silk Road? Is that what's happening here? Kazakhstan, cool. Moscow. Is this the Orient Express run that's being started to be built? I doubt it. That would be a heck of a run through here, connecting Asia or connecting China with Asia, Moscow, and Western Europe. But we shall see. We shall see as they add. Kind of interesting to watch.
For sure.
Well, that's the program for today. We'd like to certainly thank you for watching. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. That helps us get it in front of other viewers. Certainly watch the little short videos that both Casey and I have put online for the Are You Feeling Hungry? Are You Feeling Lucky? Options in the Tesla Navigate. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, and you can follow us throughout the week on Twitter at The Tesla Life and through our Facebook page, The Tesla Life #1. And Casey, any shout outs for us this evening?
I'm actually working on a video showing Elon had mentioned that there were improvements to Smart Summon, and if you want to see what my results are, I've got a video going up shortly in a couple days. Either probably not tonight, but maybe tomorrow or for the weekend at youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN.
Perfect. And we certainly like to reach out to Lee Moon, thank him for the theme music that we use every week. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee.
And with that, we will close up the show, and we will see you next week and find out what's happening in the Tesla life. Good night, everyone. Have yourselves a great week.